the second day of wild card games, I should say. There are 2 days entirely. First up on day one is the Bills and Texans. That game is in Houston with a great one-on-one matchup in DeAndre Hopkins and Tre'Davious White that Kim Jones has more on now from Orchard Park.
If Bills cornerback Tre'Davious White is using DeAndre Hopkins' since-deleted Instagram post as motivation, he's keeping it to himself. When asked about it on Thursday, White said simply, "I'm just trying to play my game." White, of course, has been plenty good enough. He's been targeted 84 times in coverage and didn't give up a touchdown the entire 2019 season. On a defense that prides itself on being shut down, Tre'Davious White has so far more than done his part.
D-Hop, not the only good wideout that Houston has, but then again, they might not have one of their other ones on Saturday. Will Fuller, a game-time decision, according to Bill O'Brien. He's dealing with a groin injury and is, according to James Palmer, a long shot to play. So that could impact this matchup, and we'll hear what DeAndre Hopkins thinks about all of that Saturday on NFL Game Day morning. He sat down with Michael Irvin today for an interview that will air before the game. Then on NFL Network later this month, go ahead and set your DVR now for the Reese's Senior Bowl. That is Saturday, January 25th at 2:30 Eastern. It's the unofficial kickoff of draft season. It's the week before the Super Bowl. And as we found out today, we now know which teams will be coaching it. It's going to be Matt Patricia's Lions staff, which lost its defensive coordinator today, Paul Pasqualoni, stepping away to spend time with his family. As for the AFC roster, it's going to be Zach Taylor's staff from the Bengals, a franchise that is mourning today the loss of their beloved former coach, Sam Wyche. According to the team, he passed away today at his home in South Carolina. His son telling Cincinnati's WCPO-TV that he died from complications from cancer. He's best known as the Bengals coach from 84 to 91. He is the last coach to have taken them to the Super Bowl. He did that in 1988, that team with Boomer Esiason and Ickey Woods. He was also well known for his passion and rivalry stoking and was voted 53 on the list of the NFL 100 greatest characters this past season. One of a kind, the Bengals called him on Twitter. He didn't just coach one team, though. He also led the Bucs from 92 to 95 and was, as owner Brian Glazer pointed out in a statement today, instrumental in drafting cornerstone players such as John Lynch, Derek Brooks, and Warren Sapp, who were all, quote, key foundational parts of our eventual Super Bowl championship. The Buccaneers organization sends its heartfelt condolences to his wife, Jane, and the entire Wyche family. As does everyone here at NFL Media. Sam Wyche was 74 years old. Is NFL Total Access. And that is where we pick things up with the Patriots practice today. Potentially one of the last ever for Tom Brady. He is not under contract past this season, and Saturday's game is win or go home, and that has not gone unnoticed in Foxborough, where Mike Giardi joins us now.
As he prepares for the Patriots' wild-card round playoff game against the Tennessee Titans, there remains a real possibility that this might be Tom Brady's last game, not only at Gillette Stadium here in Foxborough, but maybe as a New England Patriot as he enters the final year of his contract. Brady, though, says he's not one for nostalgia.
I haven't thought about those things, and I wouldn't be thinking about those things anyway. It's felt like a normal week for me, so I just approach practice like I always have, and try to do the best I could do. So that's what I'm gonna do this weekend as well.
Do you hear people wondering about it or no?
About what's my last game? I haven't turned the TV on. It's probably not the best after we lose to turn the TV on, listen to all your guys' shows and stuff like that. So probably weren't too many great things happening. So I try to lay low this week.
As for Brady's message to the team, it seems to be this: don't take anything for granted.
The end for Brady. Is it possible this is it? Let's go players only, where one player might have the answer. Willie, what's going on with your little bro?
And they say go home, win or go home or go away. For in Brady's case, everybody wants Brady to retire. It's over. He's fallen off a cliff, and we've heard this for many, many years. And I know there's a lot of things, guys, that factor into his decision whether he's going to come back or not. But that one statement that he said was 100% Tom Brady. He's not thinking about anything else except for trying to get ready for the Titans. But being realistic, when I watched what's going on, everybody talk about the houses being for sale and him moving on and not under contract, I think those things will play itself out. The real decision is, does he really want to still play football? And I think being in New England for so many years, having a close relationship with ownership and the coaching staff, I know that he's welcome back in New England if everything works out. But there's things that are important for Tom moving forward.
Yeah, when you look at it and you say, okay, is he done because he physically can't do it anymore? I don't necessarily think that's the case. I know sometimes we see guys into their career. Sometimes we saw a little bit of Peyton Manning. Sometimes the ball would come out and it was kind of fluttering out of his hand.
Saw a lot of that.
Now, there's some throws that he misses, right? And we saw those just this last week up in Foxborough, and the accuracy was a little bit off. But I honestly think that it's a little deeper than that because for so long, he's had guys that were just winning on these routes. And a lot of these guys we were showing, other than that Edelman, that first one, these are guys that just showed up this season. Mohamed Sanu, N'Keal Harry didn't play early on, probably because he couldn't get on the same page. This throws a little bit high to a young receiver, a rookie. So I think a lot of this stuff has to do with he's so accustomed to knowing what coverage you're in, knowing the defensive structure, identifying it, throwing it to the guy that he wants to throw it to, and that guy wins. He hasn't really had to get to that next guy. And now he's kind of looking a little bit rough. So I see a lot of times what happens is he used to be one of the best in the league at moving, buying time in the pocket, and still remaining a passer and making those throws. And he was the greatest I'd ever seen. And now he gets to the point where if the first guy isn't there, he doesn't trust the other guys, so he just throws it away. He dumps it at their feet or he throws it over their head and just goes to the next play. And it's almost like I'm not even going to mess with trying to make a play to that guy because I don't trust him yet. So that's where I think a lot of their struggles are now. Does that carry over into, well, I don't want to do this anymore? I don't know. You just don't know unless you're sitting right there. But it is pretty cool to see. And I was around Eli Manning a lot, obviously, for 4 years, and he did the same thing. They're so focused on the next game, they don't even think about what we're talking about. He's focused on what happens this weekend, trying to win this football game. He'll deal with the rest later, and I'm sure he has a plan, but he's definitely worried about this football game.
We talk about the weapons around him and how he's not moving in the pocket the way he used to. His offensive line is not playing the way it had been in the past.
Good point.
He's been under pressure more this season than we can remember at any point throughout his career. He doesn't have the passing weapons. And I think he sees the direction that the Patriots are headed. And he has seen what happened with Adam Vinatieri in Indy this season and how he struggled and towards the end of his career. I don't think that Tom Brady wants to do what Peyton Manning did at the end of his career. You mentioned he was out there, but he wasn't playing up to his own standard. And I think Tom Brady has sacrificed more than any football player in history to be the greatest of all time. He sacrificed time with his friends, his family, anything else off the field. And I think, truthfully, when he looks inside himself, he is ready to transition to the next phase of his life because he doesn't want to hang on to the end of his career to play 1 or 2 more seasons when he's not up to his own standard. And he's ready to go spend some more time at home with his family, and he's ready to move on to the next phase.
And that is important. His family's always played a critical part of his decision-making and what he wants to do moving forward. But the other things you guys mentioned was the resources, the players, the new pieces, being in sync. You've never really seen the Patriots trying to figure it out in Week 17, losing a major opportunity to be the second-round bye, having a bye, and going out and playing the way they've done. So coming back, there's a lot of things that's going to be interesting going forward, organizational-wise. What's the next step for us?
A lot of questions unanswered right now.
Yeah, do we have a guy to replace Tom Brady? Is that guy in the draft? Free agency, all those different things. For Tom, will you provide the resources that we really need to move forward so I can play better, so I can go out and have the expectations that everybody else in the world has for me? And the money. Like you talk about sacrifice. He sacrificed how much he's made. When you look at what he's making and compare it to other quarterbacks, it's not even close. So there's a lot of things to factor in. At this present moment, it's all about the Titans and winning, and I think we'll be surprised what happens after the season.
There might be 3 more guys sitting in chairs like this in Foxborough trying to figure it out as well at the end of the season. So we'll see what happens with that. Back to you, Lindsay.
Yeah, Willie, talk different styles. What must Cleveland do this time to get that hire right?
Yeah, I've got a lot of experience, unfortunately, with this search committee process. And for the Cleveland Browns right now, they've got the players in place. It's not the cupboards are dry right now as far as players go, but they need to get a coach that can be a strong leader, that can put it together a really good coaching staff, and that's somebody that can stand up there and hold the players accountable and give them discipline. That's not something that they had with Freddie Kitchens. So I think they're looking for somebody of high character who can be a great leader in that locker room.
Joe, you know, we always talk about it like the failed process. They've had these issues before in the past. And you was in that locker room. I was in that locker room. We've seen it years ago. And when you talk about the Cleveland Browns, you said they got the fan base, a passionate fan base. They now have the players on that roster that can go out and win football games. The question is, if you bring a coach in and you got so many different people telling this coach probably what he needs to do. And he doesn't really have full control and full reign on the locker room and the players to do every single thing his way. Will he be successful?
Are you referencing the analytics department? The
No,
Paul
no,
DePodesta?
I'm just saying I'm listening to Haslam. I have a lot of respect for him. I know him, but he's like, it'll be ownership, it'll be GM, and, and that probably has a little influence on some of the things they do. So I'm not talking about one sole department. I'm just saying about if I'm a strong-minded head coach that wants to do everything my way, and I got different voices talking to me about how I should do it, how does that kind of conflict with like the production of what you're really trying to create as a coach and put that blueprint out there?
Well, I think one of the reasons they got rid of John Dorsey this week was because they want to be able to bring in a head coach and give him full command of the roster. They want to be able to bring in a guy and give him Bill Belichick-like control where he can bring in his own general manager that he trusts and that they can build a good partnership there. But they give the head coach the power to be able to discipline and hold all of his players accountable, to be able to put together a great coaching staff that respects and understands that the head coach has final authority on a lot of things. And so I think that's why they made the move that they did this week, getting rid of John Dorsey. And that's why Jimmy Haslam said that he was going to allow his head coach to be involved with picking that general manager, because right now they got the players. They need to find the coach that now can coach those players and turn them into professionals and build a great team.
And just real quick, John brought in all those players. The free agents.
He was great.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. The reason that John Dorsey got fired was not because he didn't bring in great players, but he made a mistake with the coach hiring when he hired Freddie Kitchens.
Gotcha.
And so they don't want to do that again. So now they've got the players. Now they got to find the perfect coach, and they don't want to hold back at all their search to find the perfect coach to coach up the talent that they have right now.
Who is that perfect coach? Because we know it's not going to be Urban Meyer. His name came up today, and Haslam said they were focusing on people with NFL experience who fits that bill that also fits the leadership bill, all the things you're looking for.
Yeah, I think the guy right now that's probably the leader in the clubhouse, which is still a little bit early, but it's Mike McCarthy. He was in the building today. I got a chance to talk with some of the folks that were in that interview process. They thought Mike McCarthy did a fantastic job. He's a proven winner. He's got a Super Bowl trophy to his name. He's a guy that's been in the NFL a long time as a head coach. And really the one reason he got fired in Green Bay is because they thought his offense got a little bit stale, because he got a little bit comfortable towards the end of his career. But having that year off, I think, can really help him, because he's got a new fire burning in his belly, and he seems to have taken that year away from football and really studied the evolution of the NFL offense. And I think his offense, when he comes